Fernando Alonso stunned the F1 world with his talent and claimed 2 F1 championship titles in 2005 and 2006, but he hasn't performed to expectations since his last championship win in 2006. Now that Alonso is in the second fastest car on the grid, can the Spaniard win his third F1 title? Let's take a detailed look at this and see what Alonso himself thinks of a third title. Let's get started. After years of struggling with uncompetitive machinery, Fernando Alonso made a bold gamble by signing a multi-year deal with Aston Martin in mid-2022. Not many expected this move to be fruitful for the two-time world champion. However, the arrival of Alonso has galvanized the team and rekindled his relentless hunger for success, even at the age of 41. Since Fernando Alonso signed with Aston Martin in 2022, his arrival has sparked a new level of excitement and energy within the team. The two-time champion's infectious attitude and unwavering belief in his abilities have inspired his teammate and galvanized the entire organization. According to Aston Martin's technical director, Andrew Green-Fallows, Alonso's arrival has brought a huge amount of energy to the team. Fallows said, "He's incredibly motivated, incredibly competitive, and he's brought a huge amount of energy to the team. He keeps saying that he'll just carry on as long as he can possibly go, and that's very infectious." Despite struggling with uncompetitive machinery for almost a decade, Alonso remains as hungry for success as ever and has expressed his desire to continue racing for as long as possible. Early races this season have demonstrated to Formula One's new generation of fans just why Alonso was such an electric frontrunner in the 2000s. In Bahrain, he was brilliantly incisive, completing inch-perfect passes on Lewis Hamilton and Carlos Sainz. He even briefly headed the field in Saudi Arabia after a strong start. Despite his age, Fernando Alonso still believes that winning another world championship title is possible. In an interview with Aston Martin sponsor Bang & Olufsen, he shared his optimistic view, saying, "I believe it's possible. That's why I keep racing, obviously." He recognizes, however, that there are still many obstacles that need to be overcome, especially with top teams dominating the sport. For the current season, Alonso acknowledges that Aston Martin's aim is to lay the groundwork for a more sustained challenge in 2024. He said, "I think this 2023 campaign is just about getting better, getting to know the car better, and starting a new project from day one." Alonso understands the importance of taking things one step at a time and not getting ahead of themselves. He added, "We have to, let's say, walk before running." Alonso remains hopeful for the current season, setting his sights on podium finishes and perhaps even a race win, but he knows that the ultimate goal of winning another world championship title is still far off. Alonso believes that the only record that matters in Formula One is the one for the most world titles. That belongs to Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton, who are tied on 7. The Spaniard said, "I think when you race for many years, you start breaking records. But I think the only thing that matters is to win and to break the record of championships. And at the moment, that's probably unreachable. Because 7 of Michael and 7 of Hamilton are out of the possibility, but that will be the aim ultimately." Fernando Alonso's dream of winning a third Formula One championship may prove elusive due to the dominance of Red Bull in the current season. Although he is currently third in the drivers' standings, and his team, Aston Martin, is in second place in the constructors, Red Bull's on-track advantage suggests that they will likely win the championship in 2023. Despite the challenge, Alonso remains optimistic, stating that he believes it is possible to win a third title. However, he acknowledges that this season is about building a foundation for a more sustained challenge in 2024. He understands that Aston Martin still has a long way to go to catch up with Red Bull and that winning races this season is not guaranteed. There is some hope for Alonso, though, as Aston Martin has shown significant improvement this season, cutting lap times by 2 seconds compared to last year. However, as Toto Wolff has pointed out, the final milliseconds are always the most difficult to close, and Red Bull will also continue to make gains. Alonso's former partner, Andrea Schleger, has stated that Alonso will most probably retire after 2024, giving Alonso just 2 more years to win a championship. Although this may not be enough time for Aston Martin to catch up to Red Bull, Alonso's engineer Ramirez is confident that the team is on the right track and that Alonso could potentially win his third title if he sticks with the team for a few more years. The best chance Aston Martin has of competing against Red Bull this season is if they introduce significant upgrades to the AMR23, and that is what the engineering team at Aston Martin is working towards. Speaking about the AMR23, Alonso warned, "This is not the final car. This is just the starting car of this concept that we changed over the winter. We had to change 95% of the car, so I guess there is more to learn from it, and there is more to come on our side." Despite the positive signs, the AMR23 is not perfect. It may be the second quickest car on the grid, but it lacks top speed, and the team must address it sooner rather than later, which they will do at the upcoming Azerbaijan GP. The AMR23 might also receive a new wing. The AMR23 is one of the most planted cars through corners in 2023. Alonso and teammate Lance Stroll could easily exploit this advantage in the season's opening 3 races, but they were vulnerable to Red Bull's superior pace in the straights. Like Aston Martin, Red Bull is also strong in the corners, but their most significant advantage lies when the flap in the rear wing is opened to activate the DRS. This is something Aston Martin could not get on top of. The AMR23's rear wing is not as effective as Red Bull's during DRS periods, and the team will address this at the end of the month in Azerbaijan. Tom McCullough, Aston Martin's performance director, said, "We are every week in the wind tunnel, looking for development avenues that can bring significant performance, keeping the cost ceiling in mind. From Baku onwards, parts will come in. It's really the process that everyone is doing right now. Last year, we made a lot of rear wings to have an optimal rear wing for many circuits, but that's very expensive. This year, we have had the same wing for 3 races. We will introduce a rear wing at Baku, where a lot of efficiency is required, but we plan everything from a cost ceiling perspective. All these upgrades will no doubt significantly boost Alonso's chances of winning his 3rd F1 title. If a title win is out of reach for Alonso, Aston Martin Formula 1 driver Fernando Alonso has faith in his team's chances of picking up a Grand Prix victory this season, despite Red Bull's imperious early 2023 form. Reliability has been the sole question mark over the RB19 so far, even beyond the transmission failure that ruined Verstappen's Jeddah qualifying and forced him to come through from 15th on the grid. There were also worries during the race, with both drivers reporting concerning vibrations, while Perez then revealed that the Red Bulls may not have finished in Bahrain had they not had the luxury of running to a conservative target lap time. Aston Martin, on the other hand, has been competitive this season, but has not yet proven to be a real threat to Red Bull. While they may be able to maintain their standing against other top teams like Ferrari and Mercedes, it is unlikely that they will be able to capitalise on Red Bull's technical issues as the season progresses. Last year, Red Bull had reliability issues with their cars in the opening race, which resulted in retirements for both Verstappen and Perez. However, Verstappen managed to finish every race from Melbourne onwards in 2022, despite being compromised by damage from hitting debris on a couple of occasions. Perez's only other reliability-related retirement was due to a gearbox problem in the Canadian GP. While there may be opportunities for Aston Martin to capitalise on Red Bull's technical issues, it is unlikely that they will be frequent enough to impact the championship standings significantly. Red Bull's dominance this season is due to a combination of factors, and while reliability may be a concern, it is unlikely to be the deciding factor in the championship race. What's your thought about this? Will Alonso be able to win that 3rd F1 title? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. That will be all for today's video. Thanks for staying tuned. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you can always get to watch more videos like this. See you in the next video.